Thank you, Lord, for this day and for all of our blessings. Thank you for this food. We pray, Lord, that you'll bless us tonight as we try to do your work in at least some way. We pray, Lord, that what we do honors you. We pray that it helps other people. We pray that you bless me and Evan in our discussion. We pray that it might reach out and help somebody. And we ask for a blessing on this project overall, that it would be glorifying once again to you, and that you would guide us as well in what we do and what we say. We love you, Father. We hope that shows through the way we live, and we pray in his name. Amen. Okay, we're kicking off here. It's back with the Average Christian 2.0. I am Zach. The project is still about, though we're changing it recently, the project is still about defining what it means to have a relationship with God and how do we live that out in practical terms. And so the 2.0 focus is always sitting down with another person and interviewing for different perspectives, studying different topics and so forth. And so we're going to keep this going. I would say probably once a month you'll get a release like this. We're not slaves to any schedules, but that's what's going on. So thank you again to all of our subscribers and supporters, people on YouTube and Facebook podcasts, different media where you're listening to this. We appreciate it. And also, if you would consider going to the website, taking a look at Patreon, there's also a link for PayPal if you want to do a one-time donation or if you want to get involved on Patreon, because we can use the support. We'll give more details coming up on the kind of things that we're going to be doing and working toward. And so your help is greatly appreciated. And for those who are already supporting us monetarily, thank you as well. So this week is a little different. This is Evan, my son, oldest son, but third in the line of four of kids in our family, just married recently. And we're just going to sit down and talk a little bit. We're going to talk about what it's like to grow up in a Christian home, talk openly in hopes that we can help parents, we can help young people, prospective parents, those types of things, to see what a real relationship looks like. And we have a pretty close relationship, open relationship, definitely. And so you'll hear about some mistakes, and you'll hear about some of the good things as well. And I was starting off with Proverbs 22 and verse 6, train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he's old, he will not depart from it. A lot of people think, well, if you raise a child, that means that if you raise a kid and raise them to be faithful, that they're always going to be faithful. That's not how that works. Each child is different. I told you we had four. And so how we raised Evan is much different than his brother and his two sisters. And so thanks for sitting down, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Say hello. No, I'm kidding. So, we already started some conversation, but growing up, I know what it's like to grow up in the home of a preacher. I mean, for your whole life, that's all you've known, a preacher of some sort. Bless your heart, man, because I remember listening to my dad. Sorry, Dad, get over it. You probably never see this. Yeah, that's right. Paul will never see this. But I knew it was like growing up listening to the same person. But I don't know. Did it have its pressures growing up?
I mean, really not. Preacher? You know, there's always the jokes of preacher's kid. And,
right.
But that was never an issue, and I think partly because I never really had faith growing up. So the first thing people thought when they saw me was not Christian, Christ-like,
Oh, yeah,
the way I handled myself.
Yeah.
And it just manifested all the way. And then I got older and, went down the wrong road and pretty deep into it.
Mm-hmm. How long did that last, would you say? About 3 years?
Probably.
You said 15 is when you started kind of sliding.
It was my freshman year. And when I had really started to actually partake, in
right.
different stuff. And so I didn't really snap out of it till closer to my senior year on into it.
Were you still in the high school when you did snap out of it?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't remember. It's kind of a blur, some of the timelines and so forth. So yeah, that's why I thought it'd be cool to sit down, because now you are out of the house for the first time in your life, been out for 2 months now, and whole different ball game. Changes quite a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
More than you expect.
Well, and it's even more than just moving out,
Yeah.
being married, you go from household where mom and dad, I was working a job,
Right.
pulling my money in, but it's different when you got to buy your own toilet paper, for two people and all that good stuff. But
Right.
it's different, but it's good.
Sure it
It's
is.
helped me grow a lot, and I've still got a lot of work to do, but
Right.
it's kind of being tossed into manhood
Yeah.
and learning how to handle my own business.
It's nice though to think for yourself even more so.
Yeah,
You don't have
yeah,
to check. I mean, you still check with your wife, of course,
right,
but
right,
it's not like an authority figure where you got to check and see. It's just you make all your own decisions, do
right.
what you want to do.
And if something falls through, it's on me.
Oh. So, Evan is never probably ever. You're never going to be a public speaker or anything like that necessarily.
I mean, I don't. I enjoy giving like devos and stuff and doing
Right.
classes every now and then. So stepping in would help, or to help.
But not to the
But
extent that I've done it.
no,
Yeah.
preaching school. Not my forte.
You
You go ahead and
wouldn't
explain that one.
yeah, that's right. You wouldn't fit in. No. First of all, you have to get rid of what's under them. Yeah, I have to get rid of those. Yeah. So where did me and your mom go wrong that you got earrings? Okay.
Yeah. Never mind.
Yeah, I know. Most people don't know because I remember having that conversation. You wanted them when you were like, and it's a big deal in the South. Just in certain areas because, if you were living in LA or New York, nobody would think anything about it.
But that's what's funny, real
Oh,
quick, is East Tennessee, you get around very conservative people that this is a big bother for them. I take that into consideration. But where I work, I'm work at a souvenir T-shirt shop, in
right.
a tourist town, and a lot of people aren't from around this area, and I've never had anything said to me about it.
Mm-hmm.
The one time I did, it was that local guy,
That's right.
country to the bone. But it's and I try to be respectful of where I'm at, certain churches and groups. If it's going
Sure.
to be a problem for them,
Sure.
well, it ain't gonna hurt me to pop these out of my ear.
No. In that kind of mentality that Paul was talking about in the latter part of Romans about not being offensive and making
Right.
other people stumble. Yeah, because it starts getting very selfish. But a lot of people don't know. Like my dad wouldn't let me grow hair past my collar. I couldn't have more than a mustache. Like that's why I'm still rebelling. I've not been clean shaven since after I was 18 and left the house because dad wouldn't do it. It was kind of that old school clean shaven.
But how does he have a full beard
Well,
the whole time I've known him?
he's grown. He's grown since then.
I don't want to see him with just a mustache. Love you, Papa.
That's right. I don't either. It's weird and creepy. No, he he wouldn't let us have. I mean, earrings. Heavens no. I mean,
Yeah.
tattoos, nothing like that. Now, tattoos when I was graduating in the mid '90s still wasn't that big of a deal. But so our approach was a little bit different. You weren't doing anything reckless necessarily when you started one of them like 14, 15 years old. And I remember at 16, I was telling you, and you didn't like it, but I was telling you, and I wasn't even making you wait. I was telling you,
Right.
wait till you graduate high school.
Right.
Because it was different, wasn't it?
Yeah. It is different, what you were telling me, being viewed as high school kid, you feel like the man,
Mhm.
at that age, but then you realize there's a big difference between that age and being your own man and that being your own choice.
Yeah. When you graduate high school, something about it, people just look at you a little differently.
Right. Like if I'd have got him then, you would have had to answer for it.
That's
not
right.
me,
This
What's wrong
is
with
your
kid,
son.
buddy?
Yeah, exactly. That little stuff, it's hard too, because I have that. I know you have it too. I've got that rebellious gene that wants to just push the envelope to make people think and cause them to step outside of their nice, neat little
Yeah.
thought boxes. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. Um, let's just talk about, I don't know, how would you describe, I've described you to bunches of people. This is what Evan's like or Gabe's like. How would you describe your parents growing up in your house?
Honestly, I mean, like every parent could do better. That's every scenario of being a parent. But not once. I think what really helped me snap back was constantly having it, around me, being in it, the Bible, faith, being with a family, um, that grew up, I grew up in the church. So having that base knowledge, whether I wanted it or not, came into, helping me. So not once did I ever say, well, it was my parents' fault. I didn't know, or I knew, I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Got to that point. So I really can't, I've never been able or wanted to point the finger at you guys because it was nothing you did. What you're talking about, I jumping out the window, sneaking off. Like, how are you supposed to? That's not you. That's
You should have known.
Yeah. It's just my, how did I say it before? The stupidity.
Oh, I don't know.
I forgot it.
We said we had to.
I had to write it down.
He's got it. He can edit it back in. Right?
Yeah.
That's. Maybe we should go back there. I was thinking about something you were saying there as far as. Yeah, I wondered. Like you were baptized. How old were you when you were baptized?
10.
10. Did it affect you? Like, did it really affect you like it did Shay, or at least to some degree, when you saw like your uncle baptize you, and then now he's got nothing to do with you or a lot of family and left the faith altogether? Did that have an effect on you as a kid?
No.
Yeah. You roll.
No. You talking about him specifically?
Him or anybody like that?
No. I mean, I would also say when I was baptized, I knew, that's why, and I don't think it's wrong, for people to get rebaptized if that helps their conscience. But for me, I never had to, or never thought I need to be rebaptized because I understood.
Right.
I knew what I was agreeing to, what I understood was right, and what I was expected to do from God, and so nothing like that. But I in some ways really good at not letting people bother me or their examples or what they do. And then I learned going through all that in certain ways. Yeah. When I choose to let it, like anybody else, it just went full blown.
Yeah. But it ended up bothering you. It was like a culmination. When did that start? Like I think some of your negative experiences were at camp, right? Some of the most impactful.
Yeah. Showing up and being pegged, as somebody that I wasn't, when I started going to camp when I was 12,
right.
And then through middle school and then starting into high school. Between that time, I had already been just started getting pegged as, that person that, I was the popular guy or whatever, or the jock, and got into all the crazy stuff. And I really wasn't at that time. And so it hurt. When you look back, 12, 13, 14, grown people, older kids. Yeah, just dirty looks. And because I had, lines in my hair that you cut in,
Yes,
like they didn't treat you like that. Right. You did it.
Because I had a normal haircut, you freak.
Yeah. But lines and, I don't talk like the rest of the people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you talk different.
In this area, it's not, I'm not as country, or I'm not into the same things,
right. What other ways did they, like, what other inclinations did you get that they were, like, as you said, pegging you?
Just, having conversations with people in passing.
Yeah.
And it's just body language, and it's just
reading people.
Reading people and gauging, like, not really rocking with me,
Right.
And
you'll need translation for
that. Don't really like me. Oh, my bad.
You're good.
But just conversations like that, and being excluded from stuff, just not really, like, I fit in school, and in there for a little bit at the beginning of camp, I didn't fit in, and I was, threw me off. Nobody at school cared, or thought different. And some of the judgment I faced earlier came from people at Bible camp within the church.
Mm-hmm.
And so right off gate, I let that sting, and instead of just putting it aside and developing myself in my faith, let it fester, held on to it, and
I got you.
Went down a bad road.
It was one of many factors that led you to leave God. I mean, you essentially left God for however long.
said, forget it.
Yeah, that's one of those factors. Still living at home, still going to church out of respect. I always knew you were doing that out of respect. I knew you were
Right.
there, but you weren't there.
Right.
And I appreciated that too. I don't even know on what level. I guess I just appreciate that it was showing respect to me and your mom to say, okay.
Well, and that was big too. And seeing that the people that I thought loved me the most, that did love me the most, that I was taking advantage of, you
Okay.
weren't going to trade. And I knew the score before any of that. I knew that you weren't, but to actually see it, flourish, that I'm not, giving my faith or risking anybody else's faith just, to make you comfortable, and let you just keep dying spiritually.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's when the wheels had started turning again, just because y'all did that, and it wasn't just you. We're tight,
Right.
good friends. But no, good friends, and enjoy a lot of stuff together. But that was over when I remember telling you in the car, I didn't believe in the Christianity thing, God, I'm talking to the air, and
yeah, that was on the way. If I'm not mistaken, that was at night on the way back from like practice or a game or something.
yeah,
It was at night sometime.
Yeah.
We were, because I remember telling you, and this is when you had been doing your own thing. You left God for a while, but I remember telling you how, you're disrespecting everything that I stand for,
right,
and that it could never be the same between us as long as you, because or not everything I stand for. It was something to the effect like my whole life is wrapped up in godliness and being a Christian.
that was your life, yeah.
Yeah, and it still is. And if you weren't part of that, then this wasn't going to be the same. Wasn't never going to be the same.
Yep.
And you never felt like that was me telling you we weren't going to love you, or
No, I knew full and well that was my
right,
decision, my fault,
right. You
and
just
I
didn't
had owned
care.
it. Yeah, I didn't care. I was just a selfish punk.
Yeah,
I turned into everything, like the way that people had me pegged. I turned into that,
yeah. It's interesting
because when you're around that and you feel that, and that's what people expect of you.
Yeah.
I was way more tired trying to fight that narrative instead of bucking up and being my own person, developing my own faith like I knew I should have been.
Mm-hmm.
You just let it keep going. I let it fester, and then I was, whatever. This is more fun. It's easier. I ain't got to deal with all you fools.
Yeah. Well, and some of it's not genuine and not real. And I know you don't deal with fake people very well. I know that it's hard for you to put up with that, to endure that, and be patient with that. And so when they're in singing about Jesus and how we love Jesus and doing all that stuff, but then you get sort of secondhand treatment.
Well, that's what I'll never forget it, and I'll always use it as a part of the story. But me and Maggie had broken up. It was that teen week. We came back. You made us have our talk,
Right.
And couple weeks before was when I had my first encounter with the cops, and was sitting.
You grin.
Yeah. Was sitting on the curb with handcuffs on,
Mm-hmm.
And he was using it as a scare tactic. I knew it then. It don't matter. Like, oh my goodness, this is it. I remember sitting there thinking, like, who am I gonna call?
Yeah.
My dad ain't gonna come get me.
No.
Mom, it's gonna make it worse.
Yeah.
We'll run out of phone time. But sitting there thinking, what am I doing? Like I was successful in school, doing fine, playing pretty good,
right,
basketball wise, and had a girlfriend or had just had a girlfriend, and I just let it. And then we got to teen week, fast forward, and I swallowed my pride sitting there. And Dempsey was actually the one preaching that night, and sat there and swallowed my pride, went forward, and that took a lot,
Time out.
But
Swallowed your pride. How do you mean? Because you were worried about being judged?
No,
again?
I swallowed my pride. Like, you know what? I'm an idiot. I don't want to be,
So
this
you
is
were
fun.
ready to make
I
a
was
break.
ready. I was ready. That's why I went forward. I was like, you know what? This is dumb. I'm not going to let this. That was me.
Yeah, me too. That was me.
Yeah. But I wasn't going to, I was done with it. I thought, you know what? I'm going to do better for myself. in that, it still wasn't, I'm gonna do better for God, I'm gonna be better for myself, be
Right.
better for people around me. But starting down that path, and then um, I went forward, and then Bible camp, you got everybody at the end of the chapel that hug and shake hands, whatever, and seeing some grown people just walk out, or, not even say
I
a word,
know.
just come up and and that, right, it just, you know, my head, I was, you know what, forget y'all. I'm done.
Still that disrespect and that
Yeah.
same sort of side eye. Because I've gotten that. I know
Yeah.
what that feels like.
Yeah. I was like, I was just sitting in a cabin Devo, and we talking about all this stuff, of what we should be, and, the examples we need to set in everyday life as teenagers and stuff. Y'all grown people, like, obviously you don't live by it, so
Right.
why should I? And then it got, dark after that.
They're right.
That
Did
was,
you decide, like, right there at camp, forget this whole
yeah,
Christian thing?
that was, me and Maggie had already had no, we hadn't had our talk.
Was that Monday
That was
then?
like Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday is when y'all talked.
Yeah, so it was Monday night. Yeah. And that was it. And I went through the rest of camp.
That was it.
I don't remember singing another word.
Wow.
I didn't volunteer to pray. I was done.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I remember that time too because it got to a point where, we go to a small congregation for those who are listening, watching. We go to a small congregation, so you and Gabe, I've always been involved, and it got to a point where I knew there was no point in having you lead a prayer, having you help with the Lord's
yeah,
Supper, and none of that stuff because it was just,
no investment.
yeah, it would just be fake. There's no way you should be leading that kind of thing. I was, there's a bunch of thoughts coming to mind. One of them was, I know what that's like. I know it's like even now to have grown people look at you. It affects me and you differently because we're two different people. You're more like your mom in a lot of ways, personality wise, than you are me. But so I tend to absorb more of that, whereas you deflect it and like that's your problem.
Yeah.
And I take it in and internalize it too much. But I know that feeling. But as a young person, when you see older people doing that, because I don't know that I had much of that. I was the fake guy so much that I could fake being spiritual, and I would get a lot of approval from people. You would just be you, even trying to be spiritual and get that
Yeah.
side eye, like, and not
Yep.
from everybody. I don't want to
No,
make it
no, no,
sound
no,
like
no, no. And that's what I want people to get from this is I let a handful of people ruin it.
right.
And I entertained the negative energy, and negative attitudes from people. So it was not everybody. It wasn't camp. It wasn't just a handful of people. I just let it fester.
And you stop thinking about people like Matt Reagan who have a powerful impact, or
Yeah.
Chris Jordan, or other people at
Yeah.
camp, and the guys that you have really good relationships with still, like Blake, that really helped you and very spiritually minded.
Right.
You forget about
Just,
all them. You just see the
yeah.
problems.
Yeah. And just chose because,
Right.
that's the thing that, you talk about it all the time, and, sin's fun.
Oh yeah.
It's enjoyable.
Yeah. You had a good time.
That's why it's, like, and, how we talked before, people are, "Oh, sin's not fun." Yeah, it is. What are you talking about? You hadn't, yeah, like, I'm not saying go try it out, but,
No.
to say it's evil, you should stay away. Why would you even? Because it's fun,
Right.
and that's smoking weed, you know,
Right.
partying, whatever, going out doing dumb stuff for the heck
Yep.
of it, just because we were bored,
Yep.
and that was more fun. Why would I fight what people think? I'm just going to be it. I enjoy
Well,
doing it, or
the
did it. I was enjoying it.
let's see that probably let's go back to all right, let's back up to 7th grade. We had a conversation because I knew and I had talks with you. I knew that out of all um 4 of our kids, you had the most danger in front of you because I knew number 1 you were good athletically and that you were already popular even as in middle school. That's not something I was ever a crowd I was ever a part of. Wanted to be and was so fake as, a $2 bill trying to be. Your mom was stronger and didn't care, but she was never in the popular group. So I do early on warning signs. And we had discussions about that, about how difficult that would be. And I remember in 7th grade, I think, telling you that if I think I told you if basketball was ever going to take you away from God,
Yeah.
then I hope you broke your legs so you could.
Blew my hip.
Right. So
Hey, it
it's
worked out.
funny. We need to tell that story because it
Yeah.
may be providence. I don't know. I don't know how God works. I would rather give him credit. But at the same time, it did happen. It did manifest. It did. You end up being a popular kid. You end up starting varsity in 9th grade. You got looks like a really bright athletic future. Want to go play college ball and
I
so
didn't
forth.
start, but
Well, you didn't
I played-
start.
I
I'm
played.
sorry. You played varsity. You're right.
be like that back in my day.
You're right. You played varsity as a freshman. And then you got in with that crowd. And so here comes the problems that come with that. And then a bunch of injuries is why you ended up not playing in college. I firmly believe that's, and I've thought about that, like maybe I did that to him.
No, well, I never thought of it like that. Me and Maggie actually had that conversation last night. On the way up from Rocket playing. Oh,
It's all right. It happens.
But I told her it's taken me a long time, but I finally was happy and I'm content that I walked away from basketball. Still wanted to play basketball,
Yeah.
but I had options and I was able to just walk away and say no for myself. It wasn't that I wasn't able to. It was that,
Wasn't just stripped from
Yeah.
you. It was made a lot more difficult. I mean, you had a broken shoulder, so you've got arthritis there. You've got a horrible hip surgery.
Yeah.
Shin splints. It was like your body betrayed you. I think that's the way I've said it multiple times.
That's what I tell people. Before my junior year, I could dunk for about 2 weeks.
Right.
And then it was shin splints. Shin splints went away, and I tore my hip.
Yeah, that's exactly
it.
right. And then that was it. So maybe that was providentially God taking care of you. In the meantime, you ended up, it wasn't just that a bunch of, a few bad eggs as far as Christians set a bad example and then off you went. You got in with the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
The wrong crowd. There was a bunch of guys who were going out, and it could have been a whole lot worse. I do know that. You got into some pretty rough stuff, rougher than I ever got into, or any of the people that I even hung around with back in high school.
Right.
But still,
Yeah.
it could have been rougher.
And, you grow up hearing like those little drug classes and stuff, that you get.
No,
coming
Dare.
in. Yeah, we don't have
Sheesh.
Dare. Well, they gave us T-shirts. We were all doing bad, drugs and drinking and
know.
stuff. They gave us Rise Up, like past peer pressure T-shirts, and we
Like
thought
we're
it was
already
funny.
high.
Yeah,
We rose up.
we walked in high wearing those, like,
Right.
But it wasn't so much peer pressure as it was being interested in it,
Yeah.
like smoking weed. And I started smoking a little bit, and then you just naturally kind of funnel into that crowd.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't, because even through all that, I'm confident in myself. I know who I was, just chose to be stupid. And so I just let one thing go after another, and that's when I figured out, because you always hear weed's the gateway drug. I smoke a little bit of weed and then let's go do something else. But when you keep pushing yourself past those limits, and trying to get higher, that's the gateway.
So it kind of is the gateway because
yeah.
it led to you dabbling in a few other things.
I had just thought that people,
Right.
like, oh, you smoked a blunt and now you want to snort crack.
Right.
Coke.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
No,
It's just-
but eventually it goes down that path. I has a lot of different thoughts. I should be sitting here writing notes while we're talking, but that's one of the things that bothers, some Christians is sitting and talking about, what you've done without going into all the specific details.
Right.
It's just like, well, you should never talk about that. Yes. Yeah, you should. There's two ways to do it. There's one way that brags. It's like, well, you know what I got into, but thank God. There's another way that says, look, these are some horrible decisions I make. This is how I got here, which is what we're talking about.
Right.
How I got here, what it cost me, and even what it could have cost me. Learn from it.
Yeah.
So I knew that you weren't a peer pressure guy, and the way that I knew that is that I'm confident and believe you wholly when you say you weren't going around sleeping with a bunch of girls.
No.
The peer pressure guys.
I was holding down coffee tables.
Yeah.
I didn't want any of that.
That's where the weed was, for people who don't know what holding down coffee tables means.
Yeah.
That's where the weed, but I know. I knew you weren't going around sleeping with a bunch of girls, And that's usually a peer pressure thing. Well, all these guys are doing it and these girls are doing it. And,
Well, that's we just go to parties,
right.
all, different fellas and whatnot. And, they just gonna do their thing. I didn't want, even
Yeah.
all through that, I was like, man, I don't know where you've been. Like,
Right.
and I'm gonna have to explain. And that's exactly what I was talking about earlier.
Right.
Growing up in the church and knowing that you mess up like that, the person you got to marry's got to know, and you got to,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
right.
in our twisted world, like body counts are funny. You know how many people you've slept with.
Yeah, I know.
That's
yeah.
like a status thing now.
Yes.
I couldn't imagine looking Maggie in the face and having to.
Yeah.
I didn't want that.
Or her, how, marrying a girl that's explaining to you, I've been with this one, this one, this one, this one, or I don't have. Yeah, it's exactly right. People don't think, like young people don't think about that. Not just the don't do it because God says don't do it, but that there are reasons why he said don't do it. And it's all about protecting us, because when you have a sense of morality in that respect, you, like you said, you got to look at another person and say, well, I've already done this, this, and this with who knows who else. I'm just repeating over and over. Pull your cord through there just a little bit. That one. There you go. So you got with the wrong guys who were generally some decent fellas who just ended up
They're in the same spot that I was.
Yeah.
Came from good homes and just stupid.
Right.
They didn't come from biblical backgrounds. They just how it went.
Yep. Any of those guys, because we have some Christian, I can think of some Christian parents right now. This is why I don't understand Christian parents who want their kids to be cool. I don't understand
the dumbest
that, man.
thing. That's putting yourself in the worst position.
Right. I mean, you never got that from me, did you? That I wanted you to be the top dog and this is my boy.
Avery County.
That's right.
Pimping. Being cool.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I mean, you never did get that from me. Huh?
No. But yeah, I see it too.
Yeah.
I see the Instagram pictures and the, the dudes. Oh, you can watch it on, like Snapchat stories, Instagram stuff. Slowly being cool. And then they're off into some crazy stuff.
Yep.
Girls post a little something here, in a little bikini, a little workout suit, and then they're doing crazy stuff. Dangerous. And cool for what?
Right.
Like, that's where what tells me, or what that tells me about the parent is your faith, it ain't, doesn't hold any weight. If you're that worried about your kid being cool.
Yeah, well, like
you ain't in the right spot.
Yeah, you talk about these posts like on Instagram, and this girl or guy or whatever's posting something, doing something that's ungodly or questionable at best, and the parents like,
you see them liked it.
Yeah, like come on,
your daughter is wearing, look what she's wearing, and you
advertising for who knows who's out there looking at her pictures and so forth. Exactly, but yeah, I don't know. I'll let you go.
Nah, that's dangerous and it's stupid. But there's also, the other side of the story with the people that are too,
controlling.
Yeah. Just locked your kids down. There's dangers, public school or just being out in the world, but that's where we're supposed to be as Christians.
Yeah.
You can't save anybody from being. And I'm not saying, I don't want people to take it like homeschooling's terrible.
No.
Or that I think it's wrong. But there's still got to be that balance of social interaction.
Right.
Jesus came to seek and save the lost. You can't seek if you're, in your little concocted world of safety.
All right.
And
we've seen two recently who've been in that highly protected world and got out of that. And now they don't know who they are, what they believe or anything. Yeah. And so they're kind of off the res trying to figure everything out. And I understand the fear in parents. You can talk about me and your mom from this respect, because that's one of the hardest things to do. It's funny because people who don't know us, who are listening to this and watching this, think maybe we're having some of these conversations for the first time. All this. We're open. If nothing else, we're very open. And I mean, you've heard me apologize for parental mistakes. You've seen me shed tears over, parental mistakes and so forth. So I've made a bunch of them, but I've tried not to hide behind them. In saying all that, one of the hardest things of being a parent is how much do you hold your kids back and how much do you let them go? Is
Right.
there's no magic formula. And then
Right.
for each kid is different, you know. I might have had restrictions on you that I wouldn't have on Gabe because
Right.
Gabe's scared to death to be for anybody to
Yeah.
see him do wrong,
Yeah.
you know? So I
Yeah.
don't have to think as much. You,
Well,
on the other hand,
that's what I tell, mom. She had a harder time with it,
right.
than you did, I think. But reassuring her, like, look at the other three. I messed up on my own account. They're not perfect,
No.
but all three of them are faithful. And, I was really just the bad egg for a minute,
Yeah. Yeah.
not,
Okay.
not entirely, but, um, for that little bit, I was so, I tell y'all are, it's not like you just raised a bunch of bad kids or it's your fault. You didn't know. Y'all didn't know till I told you. Like,
Nope.
y'all probably would have never known if I'd have stayed with it because I was just my level of excellence at being stupid.
There it is. Level of excellency. And you were slick too.
Yeah. I
Sorry.
mean, and it's not that's easily, you could start joking and like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I was good. I got away with he's stupid.
Right.
Just it was all stupid. And that's y'all weren't supposed to know because I didn't want you to know and I was good at covering it up,
Mm-hmm.
you know, keeping weed in my room. Y'all ain't gonna come look in my socks or a book or,
Right.
I no, you're not gonna
Well,
you weren't supposed to know.
we didn't expect you and a Christian friend who were stay at each
Yeah.
other's house to be out smoking, up
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
near the church building or outside in the yard.
Wherever.
Yeah, wherever you were.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. I never felt like, I just never felt like I felt betrayed, but I felt guilty because I didn't have more of a reaction. But it was in the past and you admitted it. So I didn't feel this need. I didn't even feel a legitimate inside reaction to be like mad and over the top because you came with a repentance that I just knew was legit. I
Yeah.
knew you saw this was wrong and you were actually,
Well, and that's what I remembered was back in like elementary school, younger, you and mom both telling us if you ever got in that situation, call us or tell us. If you ever messed up, we'd rather you come tell us,
yes.
And so our, we got caught, me and said buddy, and I admitted to that. And then I felt it and I saw how it affected you guys. So it just, the
Mhm.
rest came with it. But it was uncomfortable. That's not, like, oh,
No.
they said, they'd rather me tell them. So, hey, mom,
By the way.
yeah,
Yeah.
guess what I did.
Yeah.
But um, I knew that it would be all right by the end of it, that you guys would be mad, give you space, react. But you weren't going to love me any less. You weren't going to hold it over my head if I admitted to it and apologized to it.
Right.
And that versus said friend that I got caught with, he's Christian now, doing well, goes to church with us,
Much
and,
better now. Yeah.
handles himself a lot better. But we've had a lot of conversations, and he wasn't mad at me or jealous of us, but he couldn't go and tell his mom without the overreaction,
Yeah.
without blowing up. And that every time that happened, it caused him to go,
Yeah.
and he hit rock bottom himself. But I bounced back because of y'all's reaction.
Well, you just as parents, you got to be open. You got to be. If I have that reaction and you're afraid to come to talk, and I'm just going to snap, and go off unhinged, then of course you're not going to come and open up to us.
Right.
At the same time, it's not like we didn't. Some people will hear that and be like, "Well, I can't believe that you didn't just, ground him for life and beat him to dust, or whatever." But at the same time, like we were talking earlier, you knew there were consequences. They were long-term consequences. And you knew afterwards. I don't know if I told you that. No, I don't think I told you during. You knew afterwards that it was really, really close for me to go tell Maggie. That's his wife, by the way.
Oh yeah.
But I was close to going to tell Maggie, drop
You
him
did.
because he's being a bum.
And it makes me feel, it like makes my skin crawl thinking about it. But at that point, I remember you telling me that, and I didn't care about that either.
Right.
You know,
Right.
because it's the turd.
Yep.
Lack of a better term,
I
you can
know.
get over it. It's
It'd be
poop.
all right. Yeah.
But yeah, I just a punk,
Now,
what they call a sellout.
yeah. Yeah. And what did you sell out for? If you say if that's a good term to use, how would you put it in those terms? What'd you sell out for?
Myself.
Yeah.
I sold everything, everybody around me,
Right.
everything good that I had going for me to be selfish and to be a victim of my own situation,
Yep.
my own enjoyments that I thought was bringing me joy. Like it's just, I've grown past it. So now when I look back, I'm an idiot. Like
Yeah.
that was my joy, and what makes me cringe is, I guess, well, I'll reference Tupac. It's a good thing, but,
I know what you mean.
he, had a song and, talking about, um, paranoid forever because he's high, only fear of
Mhm.
death. And, talking about he calls, praying to God, but he doesn't hear me, unfortunately, because I'm guilty. And
Mhm.
I remember rapping that and singing that and listening to it. I not care in the world because I didn't care.
Right.
Who was God to me, And that it makes me sick to think and look back at all that. Like I was okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'd
I
have
understand.
died,
Yeah, you'd have been
I'm
lost.
burning.
Yeah, you'd
Yeah.
have been lost and hopeless. Well, we're about to the end of this one. There's a lot more to talk about. You want to do it again?
Yeah.
All right, the next
Yeah.
time we come back, we're going to talk about that victim part, and so that way when we rewatch this, since I'm not taking notes now, I'm
Okay.
sort of making verbal notes here. But we'll talk about that victim mentality, and then I want you to be able to talk about like to young people what they should avoid. Tell from a kid's perspective. Talk to parents and say what they should avoid and things that we've talked about. We don't understand how parents are
Right.
just letting stuff slide like it's no big deal. It's kind of the stuff we got into earlier about some parents
Right.
want their kids to be cool. Um, any other aspects you can think of?
No.
We'll cover a little more Bible next time as well, as far as these. But I wanted to just sort of set the table here, talk a little bit, and we won't call it a part two because nobody ever watches part two of anything.
Right. Right.
But anything else you want to add to this one before we cut it off?
No. Just I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Being able to use it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'd talked with Maggie years ago, talking about being excited before we ran out of camp sessions to be able to go back and do devos, at camp coming up this year.
Yeah.
Not to get up there and be stupid, because we all know those guys, those youth leaders or whatever that
It's
get, but
usually
back
yeah.
in my day, I was like, man,
Yeah. Come
to
on.
a bunch of kids,
Yeah. Come
but
on.
trying to give them that same feeling I had when I heard Chuck at that devo. Like, okay, I'm in some, deep trouble, but he did it, so I can do it too, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody's parents sees this and, because I know that's a lot. I probably would have never fixed myself up if y'all were those parents that, that would have ruined your world.
Oh,
You
I
know?
understand. Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to tell you, but hopefully it helps somebody.
I had to think about that too because you made me consciously think about Evan's gonna make me choose. He's gonna make me choose between him and God, and that's part of that conversation we
Right.
had that night. Is you lose every time.
Yeah.
You and Laura and everybody loses because I ain't trading God for nobody.
Right.
Uh, Uncomfortable, horrible stuff to have to say. I mean, I remember
Yeah.
choking on those words, not like crying, but just that was
You
hard
didn't want to
stuff.
say it.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's hard stuff
Yeah.
to think about or say. So we'll talk more next time about it. And you mentioned Chuck. I wanted to say that real quick because I want to have Chuck on here. Maybe he'll see this, or I'll point him to it. Um, how much impact that had on you. I wish I could have been there for it, but Chuck, in no way, from what I gather from you and the others I talked to that were there, you would never look at that and mistake that for, hey guys, let me tell you about what I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, it's something he didn't hardly even talk about. You would have never known.
Well, that's what I tell people is exactly what he said that night. Is he didn't go around advertising, his story, like, hey, guess what I used to do? But he's an open book.
Right.
If it can be used to help somebody, or somebody's in a similar situation or like this, if one person watches it and it helps, cool.
Well, same thing like I've mentioned on here before. If if you don't want to hear the ugly stuff, then don't read the Bible.
Yeah.
I mean, we just read through Judges
Full of it.
19 where they were trying to, gang
Yeah.
rape this guy's daughter.
Right.
If you don't read the ugly stuff, then just read the Gospels and
Right.
that's it.
And forget about Paul.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bunch of people who messed up, and none of it's advertisement for, wow, look how crazy this was. It's all to say, this is what happens when you make this choice and compound it, make it worse, which is exactly
Right.
what happened to you. You didn't just one day wake up and be like, forget this God thing. I'm
Right.
done. It was little by little by little.
Sin. It
Yeah.
no joke.
Yeah, it
And
grows.
I won't be able to sit up here and say that I'm just perfect now.
No.
That builds temptations that, not a lot of people know about, stuff that I struggle with.
Yep.
But I've learned, you learn how to cope with it. I'd also like to get into at some point that you don't rank sin. Sin is sin,
Yeah.
but the consequences are ranked.
Yes, sir.
So you can't take it and say, well, I did this and I sinned, but we're not supposed to rank sin. No. There's effects for it.
Yeah.
The way I felt it and the rebuilding I've had to do
Yep.
through the past few years, that's the effects of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the sin like any other one, but you have to pay for it.
Yep. Consequences are different. Good point.
Yeah.
All right, we'll wrap it up. Do it again. Thanks for being here.
All right. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Look
man.
forward to it.
All right, bro.